Good day, everybody. I am late on this one today. 3,810 days until I'm 40 was actually yesterday. So we'll do another one this evening to catch up. I've been doing a lot of catching up. You know, life happens, and it throws you off the rhythm that you had, and you like. But this time around, I was like, no, I want to fight for my rhythm. I normally just like, okay, I can't make that all up. I'll just let that all unravel and roll over into the weekend before we actually start fixing ourselves up before a Monday. But no, this time I chose to lose some sleep, which I don't want to do, but I think it's worth it. I feel so much better having gotten back on my commitments at like I did not connect Instagram, whatever. I feel so much better having gone back to just fulfill my commitments, even if they're late, just getting them done or communicating about them. Um, yes, and I will take a nap after this. Gotta nip it in the bud, right? So, other than that, I have some like ramblings. I had some very interesting conversation in the Bitcoin space and the Bitcoin lending space with Lava Lending. Maybe not relevant to the most of you, but very interesting to me. Um, and I don't know if I might have talked about this before, but I'll just give the context of it. Like we pivoted from car leasing to Bitcoin around November when the real world asset tokens were pumping. Real world asset tokens like cars and tokenizing cars. That's what we were in the business of doing. And um, we weren't seeing any new cash, even though all the tokens were pumping. And I was like, what's going on? I call up everybody and be like, what's happening? Why am I not seeing any extra cash if everyone's so excited about this? And apparently it was just the meme bros pumping coins. Now, good for you, but there was only two real businesses that worked in the RWA space, um, aside from like stable coins and some emerging market stuff. Um, the either you had like a massive client like BlackRock, or you just had Bitcoin collateral. Uh, if you have a massive client, like a 1-2% improvement on what they do is great and you make a lot of money. Or if you're like a specific example for like Bitcoin collateral was Maple Finance or SyrupFi. And so we chose the latter. I've always been about Bitcoin and obviously. And I figured it's time for us to pivot to do Bitcoin finance, Bitcoin RWA, Bitcoin lending, really look at options like that may be halal, that may work without. Because the question that everybody has, and I've spoken in previous videos, like where does the yield come from, right? It's like yield is a very fiat concept, and I really get that now. And 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 this is a result of just looking at everybody else in this space and what they're doing. So I'm just seeing that people want to borrow against their Bitcoin. They see it as prime collateral and they want to borrow against it very cheap. Like it's your house, right? They really do treat it and believe in it like their house. And for like a house, you can get like 5, 6, 7, maybe on your percent interest rate on your home equity line of credit. But the market rate on Bitcoin collateral is 14%. And the biggest reason, probably most immediately, is just like banks don't service Bitcoin. But I got another perspective. Like 14%, even if banks don't service it, 14% is the rates or that you get for unsecured credit, like business lines of credit from like Amex. And it wasn't quite adding up that even if you have like prime collateral and people are in this space and they do believe in it and they're the ones that are allocating, why is it still 14? And then I came to realize that, oh, it's not just that rate, but usually it's like a 50% loan to value ratio, meaning if Bitcoin's at 100K, you're only going to get 50K. And there's a liquidation at 95%. So basically, if like Bitcoin falls in price down to 50, then you'll be just liquidated. And what that does is, it basically allows the lenders to acquire Bitcoin at a cheaper price, at a discount. And now that all kind of just made sense. Like anyone who's actually lending against Bitcoin understands Bitcoin, believe actually in Bitcoin. No, they may differ on how much, how, where, what price it should be at, but they do understand it fundamentally, and they don't, they'll take their fiat interest rate, but what they're really after is Bitcoin yield. And I did some quick maths, and I figured, well, it's kind of the number that I shared. Like, they're looking to kind of acquire Bitcoin at like a 40 to 60K range, and you won't normally get that on the market. But if you're lending, there's a chance that someone will hit liquidation, and you will actually get a piece of that. Now, it is preliminary. I need to like continue validating this further with more people as I speak to, so take it with a grain of salt. But it's really opened my eyes to see that, we're not gonna get bank competitive rates against Bitcoin in the short term. Yeah, I don't believe it will. It'll probably be another 4 to 8 years before we do, and banks can accept it as collateral. Obviously bullish with like Trump in the U.S. In office in the U.S., but he's not exactly a Bitcoiner either. He's using it for political reasons, and his main mantra is America first, and we'll hope that's good for the rest of the world as well in some way. Anyway, all of this comes to condense into the fact that we're quite heavily realigned and pushing like a new narrative for something like a Bitcoin bond, or like a Bitcoin sukuk for in the Islamic finance space. And we want to create a norm that really allows people to put like like, people are buying Bitcoin all the time. There's dollar cost averaging, right? Like buying every month, buying every day, buying every week, whatever it is, because they just want to buy Bitcoin over time and not be caught like they bought a huge amount at a really high price. Just continuously buy, and they're always just generally following the price and win out overall. It's a good strategy for just investing in general, right? And we can actually utilize this energy, the fact that people are continuously allocating fiat to Bitcoin, and then they just sit on that Bitcoin. But if you could make it in such a way that, just like how these guys are, hoping to get a discount Bitcoin when someone liquidates, if you could almost guarantee that, if you could guarantee Bitcoin yield for putting up fiat, well, that should help decrease all this uncertainty or anxiety or hopes, or make it, or taking advantage of each other. It's like, I think that being open about that allows aligning the incentives for both sides, and what the actual rate, or and I think I might explore this further later, like a concept called of equity rate. If you don't have yield in Bitcoin, what are you kind of participating in or earning? And there's this concept of equity rate that we can talk about, and that rate basically would be determined by the market. I'm estimating it to be somewhere between 5 to 15%, depending on the term and the length and the loan to value, or the structure of the deal. But I think it just cuts to the chase of what people actually really want. So we'll just keep pushing that narrative. We'll keep talking about it. We'll see what pushback we get, what changes people might want to make, what iterations we might have to do. The technical implementation of this will probably initially be pretty rudimentary, like just test it on paper, legal documents, centralized, but make sure that at least the Bitcoin is maintained in a secure manner. The technology is available for that. We've started to get a good grasp of it as well. And then the step after that is to really take it to the next level of allowing people to take these future Bitcoin purchases or Bitcoin bonds and actually transfer them, sell them. Because right now, Bitcoin code, or building in Bitcoin, is very peer-to-peer heavy. It supports a lot of peer-to-peer transactions that are very easy and possible. But if you really want to scale this up, we have to allow for pooling, allow for tradability. Like, nobody really wants, like, yes, they're buying Bitcoin, but at the end of the day, they don't want to if it's if they're not getting the delivery of the Bitcoin, they want to be able to trade out of it should they need their fiat back for anything else. So I think that's a very important component. So we're going to keep that in mind and design that in mind right off the bat. And I'll have more updates later tonight, actually. Maybe my tonight will be very short, maybe a bit more personal, but you'll hear more on this.